Hi, I'm Jeff Walters, and welcome to The Minutes. And thanks for listening today. It's great to have you along on The Minutes for the week of December the 2nd, 2024. This is a City of Thunder Bay podcast. The Minutes takes a look at what happened at Thunder Bay City Council this past week. You can find The Minutes wherever you get your podcasts, including our YouTube channel and our website, thunderbay.ca/The Minutes. If you want to keep your finger on the pulse of what's happening at City Hall, just hit that subscribe button. On this episode, we'll have a rundown of what happened at this week's City Council meeting and an interview with Ian Spoljarich. He's the roads manager in Thunder Bay. We'll talk about winter maintenance or snowplowing, just as it's starting to snow here in the city, in just a few minutes. But first, Council started off with a presentation from the Roads Department on how it maintains city streets throughout the winter. The presentation was made to make Council aware of the city standards and how it prioritizes certain roads. The presentation was only for information, and we'll hear more about that winter road maintenance presentation with Ian in just a few minutes. There was also a couple of announcements at City Council on Monday. The first was a Red River Ward meeting hosted by Councillor Michael Zazzino. It's slated to be on December the 11th at 7 o'clock at the 55 Plus Centre on River Street. As well, City Manager John Collin noted that the Pro Kids program, which helps subsidize recreational programs for children, has additional space for more participants. The city wants to hear from organizations that would be interested in taking part in the Pro Kids programs. As well, the program would also like to hear from parents who want to have their kids enrolled in a Pro Kids program. You can learn more and register at thunderbay.ca/pro-kids. City Council got an update on Monday night about the work that needs to take place at the Waverley Park Cenotaph and the Hogarth Fountain, which is also at the park. Council agreed to take the matter off of the outstanding list and move forward with the recommended plan from administration. Earlier this year, the Coalition for Waverley Park made a deputation to Council asking for a maintenance plan for the fountain and for work to be included in the capital budget going forward. The fountain, which was installed in 1965 but was built in 1790, was gifted to the city by Madge Hogarth in honor of her husband, Major General Donald Hogarth. A report from administration says upgrades are needed to the fountain, including a backflow prevention valve and the drainage system, as water currently flows into a wooden drain stave pipe. In 2017, the fountain was taken out of commission due to leaks in the structure. Before the leaks were discovered, the fountain was put into service each spring and taken out of service in the fall. This is actually a difficult task, as the work needs to be done in a confined space, and a smaller, flexible person is needed to get into the space to complete the work. Upgrades to the fountain would reduce maintenance in the future, and park staff could incorporate the annual startup and shutdown into their regular work. The Coalition for Waverley Park suggested undertaking the work needed for the fountain and cenotaph in 3 phases. This includes making the fountain operational and modernizing how it works. The second is to improve the areas around the fountain, including its aesthetics and accessibility. The third phase is to improve accessibility at the cenotaph and its connection to Red River Road, as well as improvements for the annual Remembrance Day ceremony. City administration says its first priority is to make the fountain functional and improve the surrounding area. $100,000 is included in the capital budget in 2025 for a consultant to provide structural, mechanical, and electrical expertise on repairs to the fountain, including a water supply and drainage system. A historical restoration consultant will provide information on restoring the fountain's base and aesthetics, and a landscape architect will create a tender document to rebuild the area around the fountain. City administration says it will take about a year to complete the consulting work, with construction following in 3 phases to spread out the work, as well as the associated funding. The restoration of the fountain in year 1 would cost about $1 million. Restoration of the area in year 2 has a $400,000 price tag. Restoration and design of the cenotaph area in year 3 will cost about $1 million. Administration says the Coalition for Waverley Park has received a $50,000 grant from the CEDC and has made it to the second round of NOHFC grants, Northern Ontario Heritage Fund, with a value of $1.13 million, or about half of the total cost. Administration says it will put a high priority on budgeting for the other half of the project in the 2026 season to match the NOHFC funding. Now, the Coalition for Waverley Park first asked Council to include the fountain's restoration work in the 2020 capital budget. An assessment on the fountain was carried out in 2023 and found there were no significant structural issues that could have caused any changes to the known work. The Coalition for Waverley Park also made a deputation to Council on Monday night, noting that they applied for that NOHFC funding and they are in the second phase. They need a resolution of support from City Council and to commit the remaining funds, which is just over $1 million. City administration and City Council said they were in support of the project and are committed to doing the consulting work in 2025. Administration says it will also track the NOHFC grant and will bring the matter back before Council if needed to make sure they obtain any available funding. The consulting work set for 2025 will also narrow down the construction costs needed to repair the fountain. Council agreed to a payment agreement with the province as part of the Housing Enabling Water Systems Fund. The city applied for the fund to service the InterOcean area, which is north and south of Central Avenue between Balmoral Street and Golf Links Road. Council has to formally pass a resolution for the agreement. The province will pay up to $10.4 million, or 73% of the total cost to bring water and sewer to the area. The city will pay the remainder up to $3.8 million. The work has to be done by March 31st of 2027. The project includes water, sewer, and storm sewer lines with 620 meters of new sanitary sewer along Central Avenue, 2.6 kilometers of new water mains, and 2 kilometers of new storm sewers on both sides of Central Avenue, along with 2 new stormwater management areas. The work will allow for more housing to be built in the area and to promote growth. A report on red light cameras in Thunder Bay will come before Council in the new year. The report was slated to be in Council on December the 2nd, but administration says it needs more time to review a consultant's report it recently received. Administration says it will report back with a recommendation on the cameras in the first quarter of 2025. Thunder Bay City Council endorsed a request from the Intergovernmental Affairs Committee to ask the province to look at updating the Municipal Elections Act. The request comes as the Association of Municipal Managers, Clerks and Treasurers of Ontario says updates are needed by the middle of this year, so election processes in Ontario are fair, accessible, and clear. The current legislation is nearly 30 years old and needs an overhaul to align with electronic voting and electronic processes. An update to the rules would include setting standards for online voting, update language to recognize paper-based to electronic shifts in voting, and adapting to new technologies that impact the democratic process. Updating the Act would also make the rules clearer for candidates, voters, advertisers, and contributors. In addition to updating the legislation for the 2026 election, the request is to also revisit the legislation in between municipal elections so the rules can keep pace with voting trends, expectations, and technology. Council also endorsed a resolution from the Intergovernmental Affairs Committee asking the federal government to delay the implementation of Post-Grad work permit reforms. Changes to the program were slated to start on November the 1st. The concern, according to a memo, is that with changes to work permits, there could be staff shortages in a number of fields, including engineering, dental hygiene, early childhood education, and business. The memo says Northwestern Ontario may be in a better position than other parts of the country to welcome new residents and address labor shortages without overwhelming resources, infrastructure, and housing. And finally, Council endorsed a third resolution, also from the Intergovernmental Affairs Committee. It asked the province to support recommendations from the Ontario Forest Industries Association for the provincial budget. The group wants the province to expand the forest biomass program, create longer and larger power purchase agreements for biomass-fired energy, and increase funding for the Forest Access Roads program. The recommendations would support the forest industry and also create more energy in Ontario. And that's a wrap as to what happened at Council this week. For more information on anything that happens at Council, please visit our website, thunderbay.ca/council. Well, it's beginning to look a little more like winter outside. There's some snow on the ground, and when it snows, well, the roads have to be plowed. On Monday night, Council heard from the Roads Division and how roads are kept clean from snow and ice throughout the winter months. Ian Spoljarich is the Manager of Roads here in Thunder Bay. Ian, thanks for coming into the Minute Studio today.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Yeah, glad you could make it in. So really good timing with some snow on the way today for this. You obviously have some control over the weather, right?
Of course, yeah. I knew this was happening
tonight.
Yeah.
So good timing on your part. We're in December already, so winter has started here in Northwestern Ontario. What sort of preparations are underway to make sure that the roads are going to stay clear this winter?
Yeah, so before any snow comes, staff are working hard getting equipment ready, going over the plow trucks, graders, sidewalk plows, sanders, all the equipment that we use, make sure it's working proper order. We check levels of our stockpiles for sand and salt, make sure they're up to what we need or what we anticipate needing throughout the winter. We go over our beats, our routes, make sure that we're aware with any hazards or potential things that could get damaged or just things to look out for anyways before the snow comes. And then when the snow comes, we get into action.
And how many pieces of equipment do you have to go over?
Yeah, so we have over 60 pieces of equipment right now.
Oh, that's quite a bit.
Yeah.
And is that split between both sides of the city, or are we still a north-south kind of thing?
We are, yeah. So we have 3 yards. We have one at Mount Dale and Arthur, one on Front Egan, and then out at the landfill. So equipment's dispersed between those 3 locations.
So in what order? Because people always want their road to be plowed first, right? Of course. How do you determine, I guess, who gets plowed and in what order here in Thunder Bay?
Yeah, so we have priority routes, which are arterial collector roadways, roads that lead to hospitals, shopping centers, churches, things like that. And we plow those between 2 a.m. and 7 a.m. When there's less traffic, a little safer to do so. And then we go into residential streets after, usually between 9 and 4. And it takes about 72 hours to complete those residential streets once we've completed priority routes.
And how long can the priority routes take?
If everything comes down at once and we can get it all cleared, it's usually 5 to 7 hours. If it snows again, we have to go back to those priority routes, plow them again, and then we can get back onto residential.
So that means, I guess, that sometimes you don't really get to those residential streets for a while.
No, if it keeps snowing, we got to keep it going, and the clock kind of starts again. So, yeah, it may be a couple snowfalls before we can get to those residential streets.
I know in some communities, you see this online, they talk about their priorities. So they have priorities for bus routes, for garbage collection, for example. Is that something that we consider here in Thunder Bay?
Not necessarily for garbage collection, but definitely for bus routes, too. So most of those arterial and collector roadways are where the bus routes are on.
Okay. How can people help get their roads cleared a bit faster, I guess? And I'm not talking about going out there with a shovel and doing it yourself.
Yeah, so we do have calendar parking in the city of Thunder Bay, which comes into effect November 15th and runs until March 31st. Priority routes are 2 to 7 a.m. and residential streets are 9 to 5 p.m., I believe. And it just keeps one side of the roadway clear so we can clear the roads more effectively during the winter, but also allow garbage trucks, emergency vehicles, buses get down the road safely as well.
And for calendar parking, I know that it's not a perfect science. People don't always adhere to it. So what kind of challenges does it create when people don't adhere to those calendar parking rules?
Yeah, so sometimes if there are cars on both sides of the road and we have a lot of snow or snow banks, we can't get our equipment down to plow the road, or a bus can't get down, garbage truck, emergency vehicle. So it does create challenges.
And what can people also do to get their roads cleared faster besides calendar parking? Is there anything else that they can do to make life easier for you guys?
Just try to keep any obstructions or anything else off the road, and then our operators can get down there and do a clean pass.
So I know we've been plowing roads in Thunder Bay since we were Thunder Bay, and even the other cities. Are we looking at making any changes or enhancements to road clearing this winter?
We're always looking at new technologies and new equipment, and if there's better ways we can do things. And I think a lot of that comes along with the training of operators and just the way we look at a snow event. Also, lately, we've been putting a lot more information online, and we encourage the public to go to our website, thunderbay.ca/snow. You can get updates after a winter event. You can also get FAQs on there for some of the questions you may have.
Okay. You went to council last night, and I'm sure people hear from their councillor after it snows and they want that road plowed a bit faster. But what was council saying to you last night?
Yeah, some of the same things, just asking what can they tell constituents if they do call. And, we do encourage them to call dispatch at 625-2195. They're usually the best ones to know where we're at and when roads possibly might get attended to. Again, that website is a good place to check out, and you can see when residential streets have begun and when they're anticipated to be completed. Again, any new technologies or how we kind of prioritize routes and roads like that.
And with the first snowfall of the season coming, is there anything different from the first snowfall to maybe, once you're well established into January and February? Any additional challenges off the hop?
Yeah, the first snowfall is usually the most challenging. It kind of buries everything and everything looks the same. So it's hard to find those curbs and sidewalk edges. So once we get those established, the snowfalls after that tend to be a bit easier.
Okay, so have some patience for the first one then.
Yeah, it's always a little bit of a challenge.
Okay. Ian, I appreciate you coming in today. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
That's Ian Spoljarich. He is the city's roads manager, and he joined me here today in the Minute Studio. And a big thanks for listening to the Minutes this week. Of course, if you want more information about City Council, agendas, or minutes, just visit thunderbay.ca/council. If you want to listen to past episodes or maybe provide some feedback, visit thunderbay.ca/the-minutes. You can also find the Minutes wherever you get your podcasts. Plus, you can find us on YouTube and on our website as well. That's thunderbay.ca/the-minutes. If you want to keep your finger on the pulse of what's happening at City Hall, just hit that subscribe button. I'm Jeff Walters. Thanks for listening this week. We'll chat again next week. Make it a great day.